Joyful blessings. This is Caitlin Castell, and I am super excited to share with you about the August 1st, 2023 full moon. It's going to be another perigee super full moon, and it's in radical revolutionary Aquarius. And so this is something that is worth tuning into. Again, I got really inspired because of the one I did back in July, and such a good response to that. So thank you so much for everyone who responded and keeping me inspired in doing this. So I thought I'd start with a quote from Ursula Gwynn. She wrote the Earthsea trilogy and many other books. She's brilliant. Love her. She passed away a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And I love this quote. She says, "You cannot buy the revolution. You cannot make the revolution. You can only be the revolution. It is in your spirit or it is nowhere." And I feel like this Aquarius full moon is about the revolution being within us. And we're going to see more about that as we go along here. So here we are on August 1st, 2023, with a super full moon, also known as a perigee full moon, meaning it's closest to the earth, brightest, biggest. Wow, we'll talk about that more in a moment. It's going to be exact at 11:31 a.m. Pacific time at 9 degrees Aquarius. And the way that we could tune into this is a full moon, especially a really big, bright full moon, is illuminating something for us. And in this case, it's illuminating beyond ordinary possibilities when we are willing to expand perception into the realm of the extraordinary. So the impossible becomes I am possible. And Saturn and Mercury are aiding this process. So here we have the sun at 9 Leo. We're going to see that where it's going to be located in a moment. And the moon at 9 Aquarius, we'll see that where that's located also. And so then we have also Pluto at 28 Capricorn. We have the South Node at 28 Libra. We have the North Node at 28 Aries. So we have this very specific, what am I trying to think of? T-square. That's what I'm trying to think of. But Pluto squaring the nodes. And this is something that has been already with us for many months and will continue until the end of the year. And it is creating radical revolutionary changes to the past and the future so that we can transform and transmute the things of the past that might be holding us back and move more fully into our divine destiny. And to help with that and to support that, we have Mercury at 5 Virgo and Saturn at 5 Pisces at the time of this full moon in Aquarius, which is all about being visionary, connecting into a cosmic perspective, seeing things from a bigger point of view, from a broader point of view. And so Mercury and Saturn, Mercury moves fast, Saturn moves slow. Mercury is all about ideas and the mind, and Saturn's all about matter and form and how we experience things in our third dimensional reality in this world of form. And so the thing when Saturn and Mercury are together is that we can bring ideas into practical form, something that really works. So this is something that we can also tune into during this full moon. Now, according to Earth Sky, this perigee super full moon, they're showing on August 1st, the night of August 1st, that the moon is approaching the goatfish or Capricornus. We'll see more about that in just a moment, but I'm going to show you that it's actually in the goatfish. But first, we're going to look at the sun. So here's the sun at 9 degrees Leo on the day of the full moon, August 1st, and it's in the crab. So you can see the crab. Here's the crab constellation here, and it's in the crab at 9 degrees Leo, very close to the beehive cluster, Persepi, which is also about how do we enjoy and savor the beauty of life and the honey and the sweetness of life when we're working with the beehive metaphor. And then also just here's Venus at 27 Leo retrograde, and Mercury at 5 degrees Virgo in it's in the constellation of the Lion. It's in the sign of Virgo. It's in the constellation of the Lion. And then Regulus is at 0 Virgo. So the heart of the lion and one of the 4 royal stars, very important place. So this is where the sun is, and we will see, maybe get to see Mercury and Venus in the evening sky on the evening of August 1st, but it'll depend on your latitude, your horizon line, and a few other factors. Anyway, pretty spectacular. Now, here's from my Starry Night program, the moon inside the goatfish, or the Capricornus, or whatever it's called, based on whoever's naming it. But we like to keep the names separate from the signs. So because this constellation is now overlaid by the sign of Aquarius, the sun travels through this constellation from January 21st to February 16th while it's in the sign season of Aquarius. Whole other story to go into another time, but just that reminder for those of you who know what I'm talking about. Also, just notice here Pluto at 28 Capricorn, outside of the constellation of the Capricorn, or also known as Capricorn or Capricornus, but we call the goatfish or the sea goat. So this is really important. And the other thing is just to notice this star here, Dorsum. We're going to talk about more in a moment, and its relationship to this full moon. But first, just the reminder about the perigee new moon or full moon. And they've been called a supermoon. This is what astronomers and astrologers are calling these nowadays. And a perigee moon is considered to be a super full moon or new moon when it's within 90% of the closest approach to the Earth at the time of the full moon or at the time of the new moon. The new moon you can't see, but until maybe a day or so later, so you maybe see a bigger crescent in the sky, but the full moon you're going to see coming up super big over the horizon and brighter and just spectacular. So also we have on August 1st, we have this perigee moon, super moon, and on August 30th, we'll have the second perigee full moon of the month. And this is sometimes referred to as a blue moon, but it's not an actual blue moon. So I will put in the show notes the whole story about the blue moon and that, and just acknowledging that sometimes people will consider the second full moon in a month to be a blue moon. It will also be a perigee moon. And the thing we want to remember is that the perigee moons, you can see here, the moon is closer to the Earth when it's perigee, and when it's apogee, it's as far from the Earth as it can get. So it has a lesser impact. So a greater impact at perigee, affecting the Earth's magnetic field. So it affects the weather and the tides and probably other things we're not even aware of. So just to tune into that. And if you get to see that full moon rising over the horizon, when it's a perigee moon, it is spectacular. In fact, the one in July of 2023 was just so fun to see coming up over the horizon. So again, I shared this in the last video. I'm going to share this in the show notes, a link in the show notes again, so you can figure out when the moon is rising where you are. Now it says 7:53 p.m. here in Tucson, but it's coming up over the mountains where I live in the Tucson area. I'm on a certain side of the mountains, so it comes up a little later sometimes. So your horizon, this is like if you had a flat horizon, but it's a great way to get an estimate of when to go out and look for that full moon rising. And you might even go out a few minutes before, so you get to see the glow and then just see it pop up over the horizon. It's just so fun to see that. So they get to see that. And then I just thought this might be a fun imagery for people to tune into. There's lots of different artworks depicting the goatfish or the sea goat of this constellation. This is how the constellation looks. And so this artwork looks kind of similar to that. We're going to see some other things that look similar to it in a moment. Now, just for us to bring some additional insights into how to work with this full moon. Hopefully you're out watching the full moon rise, or maybe you can't see it rise because it's cloudy or whatever reasons, but tuning into it, you can always use the star maps to get a sense of it, and to just tune in by meditating on the full moon at the time of the full moon. So here are the two stars, Armis and Dorsum, kind of close to the back of the goatfish, depending on how you draw it, of course. And the shoulder of the goat is Armis at 13 Aquarius, just 4 degrees from the exact full moon, meaning about 8 hours later, it's going to be exactly aligned with this star. But whenever it's within 6 degrees of the star, or about 6 degrees of the star, it is definitely transmitting to the Earth the energies and the mystery of the stars. And so Armas is a power star. It's a time to tap into what is aligned for you while accessing your talents in new inspiring ways. So something just to be adding to your understanding of this full moon. And then Dorsum is on the back of the goatfish at 14 Aquarius. It's about getting the job done, whatever it may be, with associations to Saturn and Jupiter. And Saturn and Jupiter, when they're aligned and when they're working together, it's about bringing the visions into form. And if we think about Aquarius and the Aquarius mysteries, it is about having that connection to a bigger vision. And then how do we bring that into form? So when Saturn and Jupiter work together, it indicates that what you are doing and what the world needs is aligned through innovative visions being implemented in ways that get the best results. And so Dorsum is here to help with that during this full moon time, and is only another couple hours after the moon is exact with Armas. It'll be with Dorsum, but really it's many hours because the moon moves about 1 degree every 2 hours. So when Dorsum and Armas are considered, they usually are thought of as a pair of stars because of how close they are together. So something else we could imagine, because they're on the back of the goat, is that they have the ability to shoulder big responsibilities for the benefit of the greater good. So these are some things you can tune into as well during this full moon to see how this is manifesting, or what you're attuning to, what you're bringing forth through your attention, through your affirmation and ceremonial process that you're engaging at this time. So Capricornus is connected to the word cornucopia. And so it has to do with the horn of plenty, the cornucopia. And this is a symbol that goes back to the ancient Greeks, representing abundant gifts from the gods. It also represents all good things and overflowing infinite abundance that can never be exhausted. And when we come from that place of understanding that there is infinite abundance in this world, and we do not live in the limited resources that we have been conditioned to believe that we do, and this is part of expanding our consciousness and awareness into something bigger, during this full moon time, is to really then, how do we bring this cornucopia of all good things coming to us, coming to all of us, coming to the planet Earth herself? And so we can also recognize that the cornucopia was in the Greek times associated with the underworld god Hades. He's the ruler of the realm of the earth and all that is underneath it, including the dead, but also including the gems and the treasures and the possibilities that are there. So the life-giving rain, sunshine, streams, the fertile soil, the abundance of the ocean, and the fruit-bearing trees depicted in ancient myths as gifts from the gods and goddesses are all part of the cornucopia, as you can see here, that's being shown in that cornucopia. Now, something to consider, and this is something I find really fascinating, is how the cornucopia was often created. So it looks a lot like this constellation called Capricornus, Cornucopia. It's very connected to it. And so not only is it a goatfish or a sea goat, but it also could be seen as the cornucopia, where the full moon is traveling through. So cool. So the ancient Greeks, and in their myths, describe the riches of the soil and all the wealth beneath the earth as belonging to the god Hades, lord of the underworld. And so this is, again, the place where all the treasures are. Well, in ancient writings, Hades was referred to as Pluton or Pluto, meaning the wealthy one, because people in that time were hesitant to say the dreaded name Hades. So here's Pluto, it's going to be coming back into this constellation, not for a few more years, but you can see it sitting here at 28 Capricorn. And it's also about wealth and riches. Once we've faced our fears and we're not in limited ways of being, or we're not being disempowered by our fears, and we can really show up and in the strength and power of who we are as divine beings, as ones that are here to bring about a revolutionary change on planet Earth at this time. So with that in mind, and just want to remind people, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you may want to do that and click the notification bell to get notified when new videos are posted. And also in the show notes, I'm going to post articles and a video on the blue moon, and maybe some other things if I think of them, but you'll be able to find those in the show notes. And if you want to know more about the zodiacal constellations, and one of the ways how we're looking at them is how the seasonal signs now different than the constellations, because Aquarius overlays the constellation Capricornus, also known as Capricorn, but it's now the seasonal sign of Aquarius, and how these things are interrelating and what it means for us now. You can check out a class that I did with Eric in My Star Alchemy about this at mystaralchemy.com. So I hope you have an amazing, magical, fully illuminating, it's expansive, wild, crazy, and taking you outside of your ordinary experience into extraordinary possibilities full moon.